Module 1, you heard about the specificities of doing social innovation in rural areas. It is time to delve into what means designing a social innovation in practice. Let us start from the people you would like to help.
Keep in mind that no social initiative can be effective and sustainable if it does not offer a real help to the people it targets. It does not matter if it's either non-profit or for-profit. That means you should really have a value proposition to offer to the people you would like to help.
Value proposition is the benefits the users can expect from your products and services. The consulting company Strategyzer has developed two main tools for designing an effective value proposition: the customer profile and the value map. The customer profile helps you understand the concrete needs of a specific segment of target beneficiaries, more precisely, jobs. In other words, what the beneficiaries try to do in their work or life. Pains, that is, unwanted results, risks or obstacles your beneficiaries want to avoid in doing their jobs. And gains, which are the results or the benefits the beneficiaries want to obtain. On the other hand, the value map supports you in defining your offer in terms of products and services, that is, the actual things you deliver to your beneficiaries and that convey your value proposition. Pain relievers, that are the features or advantages your products or services offer your beneficiaries that relieve their pains. And gain creators, which represent how your products or services generate the beneficiaries' desired gains. Designing an effective value proposition is an iterative process during which you have to find the right fit between the customer profile and the value map. In particular, to deliver a real help, you should focus on answering the most important jobs, the most extreme pains, and the most essential gains of your target beneficiaries.
In the present module, you will learn how to develop innovative products and services by designing, testing and implementing them together with your beneficiaries. I know, you're wondering how to do it. Well, what we'll propose you is a toolbox based on design thinking, an internationally adopted approach to develop products and services.
Design thinking invites you to keep in mind the final user and her daily needs while you develop a product or service. Co-create in teams, exploring different competencies and perspectives. Use prototypes to test and validate your solution before scaling it up. How does this approach work? You have four main steps. Explore. Understand the problem to solve by getting to know the people behind it. Create. Imagine alternative and feasible solutions. Test. Prototype a promising solution and learn from the end users if it works. Implement. Transform the validated solution in a product/service ready to be delivered.
For each step, there are different tools you can exploit. Let us have a look on how to apply our toolbox in practice. Rita, Marek and Maria are trying to reimagine the green urban spaces of Pernis city. Citizens always complain about them, but what actually they don't like? To discover it, our friends have to explore how the green spaces of their cities are and, above all, how the citizens live them.
Exploring means stepping into the shoes of the people facing the problem or need your support to solve it. The problem remains abstract until you understand who are the people experiencing it and how they manage it daily. Therefore, when you explore, you have to collect data about the behaviors and mindsets of the people you want to help, the obstacles they encounter daily, the interactions they have with other people, organizations, or objects.
As you see, except for the Central Park, the urban green spaces are few and scattered across the peripheral districts. Rita and her mates spent some weeks hanging around the green areas of Pernis city, observing and interacting with the other citizens. To obtain useful insights, to create suitable and effective solutions, they use some tools exploited by the designers to collect and organize the data.
The first one is the construction of personas. Personas are fictional profiles, often developed as a way of representing a particular group based on their shared interests. These characters have to be inspirational when you visualize solutions for the people they represent. Thus, the personas must have features linking them with who the people are in real life. Various techniques can be used to bring these characters to life. For example, you can do like Marek did. Draw them and add anecdotes that can be used to explain their characteristics in a tangible way. It is not necessary to be Michelangelo. The data/stroke information for drafting the personas can be obtained through different sources, such as the 5 Whys. We invite you to go to the additional readings section for more details. The second tool Rita, Marek and Maria applied is the Customer Journey Map. This tool helps you define a structured and comprehensive visualization of the user's experience constructed from her perspective. Take the case we are discussing. The Customer Journey Map is a scheme summarizing step by step how the citizens of Pernice City reach and use the urban green areas. Fundamental components of any customer journey map are the touch points, that is, where and through which means users interact with the service. For example, in the central park of Pernice City, there is an area with some gym equipment. In other words, the designers exploit the customer journey map to tell the story of how a person actually uses a service, visualizing the main factors that influence her experience. Other tools can be combined with the customer journey map to obtain an even more detailed analysis. For example, the contextual interviews. If you want to know more about it, go to the additional readings section.
Applying these instruments, Rita, Marek and Maria discovered that different kinds of people use the green areas of Pernice City, mainly for relax or sport activities. However, for the majority of people it takes too much time to reach these areas. Also, they find these areas dirty, poorly managed and surprisingly would desire more opportunities to socialize when they are there. For our friends, it's time to devise a solution. It's time to create and test.
When you design a product or service, first of all, you have to ideate alternative solutions that could be feasible. In doing so, co-creation is a powerful approach that enables you to directly involve the final users and all the other relevant stakeholders in the designing phase. Explore different perspectives and expertise. For this purpose, Rita and her friends have organized co-creation meetings open to the citizens of Pernice City to think together how to use and manage the urban green spaces differently. But how can we make a heterogeneous team productive? It seems a paradox, but there are different methods to drive creativity in an ordered way. One of the oldest and most popular was defined by Edward de Bono and is called lateral thinking. Maybe you have already heard of the 6 thinking hats. According to de Bono, a work team group has to discuss a possible solution from 6 different perspectives, or, in other words, the hats. Blue hat. Consider the solution as part of the bigger scenario in which you have to insert it. White hat. Weight it just on the basis of the facts. Red hat. Express the emotions and feelings generated by the hypothesis at issue and its context. Black hat. Analyze all the factors that can hamper the solution. Yellow hat. Recognize all the factors that can support the solution. Green hat. Think out of the box to provoke and investigate. In this way, a team can make its proposal more solid. Lateral thinking can be blended with other tools that can help you to identify solutions in a more practical way. Storyboards and desktop walkthrough are some examples you can find in our additional readings.